All right, it's been a week. You know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Truly Terrible podcast. Thanks for listening again. Hopefully, you'll stick around for a while. Before we get started, this episode is obviously brought to you by Patreon. That link is below if you want to check it out. There's some benefits there for getting your questions answered, things like that. Being in a Skype chat with me once a month, just to chat about whatever you'd like. You know, anything at all, as long as it's not like really uncomfortable. But yeah, check that out. Link is below. If you can't help there, no big deal. I understand. Finances are tough, real tough. And of course, you have better things to buy than listen to my dumbass talk about nonsense on the internet, which you could get for free anyway. I'm not going to charge for this. That'd be kind of shitty. Anyway, onward and upward. Our advertiser for this week is he's new to me. I haven't heard about him on any other podcasts. I just got an email out of the blue, and he offered to pay a good amount. And so I figured, what the hell? I actually haven't even read through the copy, but let's get going. So, PetesPanties.org. That is PetesPanties.org. Peter Kessler is a veteran, patriot, and a hell of a businessman. Pete joined the U.S. Army Rangers in 1999 and first saw action in Iraq. During his tenure, his fat bitch of a wife divorced him and took the house and the dog. If you listen to this, Samantha, fuck you, and I hope you get stabbed in a dollar store parking lot. Jesus. Maybe you shouldn't have included that in the read, you dick. Maybe just think that on your own. Jesus Christ. Anyway, Pete found, while in Iraq, he had a set of skills that made him valuable to his fellow lonely soldiers. Pete would stealthily enter the locals' homes for the purpose of pilfering panties, which he then sold back to his comrades for profit. This increased morale, thus helping win the war, as well as netting Pete a pretty penny. Upon his discharge, Pete decided to make his dream a reality. That's where PetesPanties.org comes in. For the low, low price of 3 easy payments of $19.95, Pete will sneak into the home of your choice and retrieve panties or male underwear, then send it to you promptly via U.S. ground. Sounds great, but how do I contact him? Simple. Just email pantypete@ifindit.com with the name, address, color preference, and approximate room location where the goods are located. This all sounds great, but what if Pete gets caught? Am I liable to be charged? I'm glad you asked. Pete is always armed and highly trained in resisting interrogation and torture. He's been burned, beaten, bloodied, and broken, all the while keeping his client's info under lock and key. Call 1-800-PANTYPETE or email him today. From the months of October and November, use coupon code YouAskWeDon'tTell to get 10% off your first heist. So, it's a little bit of a darker advertiser, I guess. Probably should have read that beforehand. Pete, if you're listening, I don't want to be on your bad side. You sound like an eccentric fellow, but maybe next time leave the wife bashing, ex-wife bashing out of the ad. People might like you more. But anyway, like I said, go to PetesPanties.org or email him at pantypete@ifindit.com. Or call 1-800-PANTYPETE, and whatever you do, make sure to remember to use coupon code YouAskWeDon'tTell and get 10% off your first heist. So, I'm not going to judge. If you guys want to do something like that, I say more power to you. It seems from, there are some references here that he's shown from happy customers, and it seems like all of them are free men and women, living their lives, haven't been arrested for anything that's undoubtedly illegal. Maybe I'm culpable for having proposed this on my podcast. Who cares? There's been a lot of peas in this episode so far, and I'm drinking a Monster energy drink, and so it's making do you guys get that, where if you drink an energy drink, it makes your, a bunch of spit in your mouth, and then you're trying to keep from having, that gargly sound that some people have, where they're always talking like they have too much spit in their mouths, and it's just gross, and you can't eat with them, but you can't also say anything because you don't know if it's something that is actually physically wrong with them, or if it's just they don't know when to swallow their spit. I just swallowed my spit right there because I don't want to be that guy where they're like, God, it seems like he has half an ounce of saliva just sitting under his tongue at all times. Anyway, what the fuck am I talking about? Check out Panty Pete. Also check out the Patreon. And for those of you who want to send in the messages, which I address in the second half of the show, you can just direct message me on YouTube. And if you are a patron on Patreon, just put it in the feed on there. And there's more information about sending it to me there. And of course, if you do pledge a certain amount, it's a guarantee that your question gets answered. Anyway, so I was trying to find current events and shit to talk about, and honestly, when it's hockey season, I don't pay attention to current events at all. And I guess saying that I do in the first place is misleading, because you've all heard me on PKA when Woody's like, "Oh, did you hear about X, Y, and Z?" And then Kyle's like, "Yeah, I heard about that." And I'm just like, "No, tell me all of it. I'm an ignorant fuck." So when it's hockey season, the only time I watch TV is to watch Blues games. The only time ever I watch TV is to watch Blues games. I don't watch TV ever anyway. I haven't had TV since, I guess, my senior year of high school. All 4 years of college and like the 2 or 3 years since then, I haven't had TV, so I have no idea what's going on in the world. And the only like news sites that I go to is every once in a while, I'll go to Fox News to get the far right, and then I'll go to MSNBC to get the far left. And that's especially funny when something like this Benghazi hearing for Hillary Clinton is going on, because you go to MSNBC and every little title is like, "Conservatives beating a dead horse," and then you go to Fox and it said, like, literally it was like, "Stop smirking, Hillary, 4 Americans are dead." And it's like, good God, there has to be some middle ground here. But unfortunately, there's not really any good news agencies that I've found. And then if you go to somewhere that's like an online aggregator site like Reddit, it's phenomenally liberal. Or you can go to the smaller subreddits, and those are like hyper conservative. And it doesn't seem like there's much middle ground on anything anymore. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm just limiting my news to shitty places and outsourcing responsibility, thinking that other people should be responsible for spoon-feeding me the news, which they should be. I don't have time for this shit. So yeah, that Benghazi thing, I have no idea what's going on with it, other than all the liberals seem to think that everybody's going overboard, and, "Oh, we've spent $5 million researching this," and all the conservatives are like, yeah, well, it's not the money that is mattering in this, it's the fact that this person's running for president. They should probably have at least reasonably good character and not be so comfortable lying in front of people that it's like, wow, people are impressed because she lied so well. But I guess that's just politics. But something more immediate that doesn't even affect me because I don't have Sprint, but Sprint is doing that same shit that all of these cell phone companies are doing, where like 5 years ago they offered the unlimited data where you could just do whatever the hell you wanted on your phone all day on the internet, watch as many YouTube videos, download whatever you want, unlimited data, which is what unlimited means. I have that on my phone. I don't have Sprint, but I got grandfathered in through my provider, so my plan, I got it long enough ago that when they finally were like, unlimited isn't really unlimited anymore. It means you can use a lot, but not fully unlimited. We're still going to call it unlimited, though, because we're schemy little bastards. But I can still use as much as I want as long as I don't sign a new contract. Sprint, on the other hand, is even if you had the unlimited data contract, they're switching it to like 23 gigs a month, and that's all you can use for, quote, unlimited, which... what kind of horse shit is that? Like, I don't even have Sprint, and that's enraging. That is not fair. Like, if you made a deal with someone, they know, we all know the only reason they even offered that unlimited data thing is because they didn't foresee how much people would be using their phones, and because they knew that in a pinch they could do some horse shit like this and renege on their guarantee and then just be home free, where it's like, oh, well, what are you going to do now? Are you going to switch to a different company that also doesn't offer unlimited data anymore, or are you going to stick with the 23 gigs a month, which is much higher than you'll get anywhere else at this point in time? Sucks to suck. Too bad you didn't go with AT&T or T-Mobile back in the day and still be grandfathered in for unlimited data. Fuck you. 2 middle fingers right up your butthole from Sprint. Yeah, it's just shitty. I don't even have Sprint, and it bothered me. Like, it's not fair. It's like you order a steak at a restaurant for $21, and then by the end of the meal, they bring you a check, and it says that it's now $33, and I'm sorry, we have the right to change prices at any point. It just so happens that our owner decided to increase the price of the steak by 58% right after you ordered it, and, we're not responsible for making sure that the customer is 100% knowledgeable about how much they're paying or the product they're getting. That's kind of on you. The onus of responsibility for purchasing is on you, customer. Fuck you. Give me money. It's just not fair. You shouldn't be able to just switch it in the middle like that. Like, it was clearly a calculated thing, and I know people peg me on PKA or whatever for being, like, hyper-conservative on a lot of things, but, like, I'm anti whatever this is. I can't picture any conservatives are super, like, in the pocket of corporate people to even think this is okay. It's just really shitty. Like, you should have had the foresight as a company to know that people were going to use their phones this much. Like, you idiots, you dumb idiots. Like, they shouldn't be responsible for your fuck up. Like, and at the same time, like, how does this even help? Like, they said it's a few people using an inordinate amount of data. Yeah, what does that do? How does that affect anyone? Like, are you not able to stream that? You can't handle that amount of data? Of course you can. You're fucking Sprint. Like, get off your high horse. I hate you. More news, and more in the news. I found some article where these two hunters in like Norway or Sweden or one of those cold countries that's seems nice but also too cold to be livable in my opinion. It's like living in not Ontario, like Edmonton, like a city that's in a nice country, Canada, but it's also so far north that it's like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing up there? Like, come down, get down from there. Be near the warmth. Like 90% of Canada's population lives within like 100 miles of the border of the U.S. You know why? Because it's less awful. It's fucking freezing up there where Edmonton is. You have no business being up there. Come down. You can still have the Oilers. You can still be sad about your NHL team down here by the border. Just get out of there. We'll help you out. No reason for you to put yourself through that. We don't think it makes you tougher because you grew up in the cold. I mean, of course some people do. People always get in like those who can handle being colder debates, you know, where like it'll be 40 degrees outside or 30 degrees outside, and someone will come around wearing shorts and a t-shirt and then just be like, oh, you know, I just don't get that cold. I don't even have goosebumps. Look. It's like, oh wow, you want a badge? Like that's fucking, like that's a non-issue. How about you just put a coat on and make it so it's not a talking point that we all have to listen to every year when you decide to break out your fun fact that you don't get as cold as everybody else. Nobody gives a shit. Like, it's not a bragging point anymore. Just because you grew up in a cold place doesn't mean that you're like intrinsically less. Well, I guess not intrinsically, but you get used to the cold more. So I guess that is true, because I've met people from California and even here in the Midwest, where it does get really cold in the Midwest. That's something that like people from, I guess, like Minnesota or even like in the South, they think like, oh, that's still in the middle of the country. It's not that cold, but it gets pretty freaking cold in the winter. But people from California can't handle it that well because they're used to being pampered by, you know, God when it comes to weather. What the hell was I talking about? Oh, the hunter thing I was going to say. So a couple hunters in one of those Nordic cold countries. That's what I was talking about that got me off, the coldness. They were moose hunting, and they killed two mooses in a zoo, which is astounding to me. That they were hunting, first of all, so close to the damn zoo that you could even make a shot and kill an animal from there. That seems like it should be illegal. That seems like a legitimate gun control issue. Hey, maybe don't bring guns that close to the zoo, where you can accidentally mistake an animal for something that you want to kill and eat. The fuck? Like, don't bring guns near schools. Don't bring guns near zoos. Don't bring guns in the library. Seems like these are basic things I can get behind. But the zoo, like, first of all, how fucking embarrassed do you have to be afterward to walk up to the zoo man or the zoo manager or the chief animal specialist and be like, I'm sorry, I accidentally killed two of your moose in the exhibit. They're just laying there. I'm sorry, my bad. We were walking around the woods. One of them startled me. I thought, oh my God, look at that moose! It's right by the concession stand and just north of the wild gorillas here in Norway. I just took the shot before I was thinking. There's also some damage to the souvenir shop in the back. I was using a 30-06. I think it punched right through one of those stuffed zebras that you guys sell to unsuspecting children, getting their parents to pay out too much for a shitty little stuffed animal that ends up getting lost 5 seconds after they get home. That's because that happened to me when I was a kid. I spent a lot of money on a stupid zoo animal and then lost it like before I even got out of the minivan when I was little. But how fucking embarrassing would that have to be? I can tell you this. Even if I felt bad about killing two moose at the zoo, there's no way in shit that I would go up to the zoo and tell them I did it. I would book it out of there. They would not know that I killed those moose. I would wait. I would get home, probably have a small panic attack, thinking like, oh my God, I ran away from killing the zoo creatures. They're going to be so pissed. No, they can't find out. They can't find out. Oh my God, what if there's a shell or a bullet casing in the woods that they find and my thumbprint is on it? Oh, Jesus. Well, how would they have my thumbprint? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. They can't know. They can't know. But I would just run away and hide. Like, I'm not going to go do that. If I shot a valuable animal, I would definitely come forward because I'd feel worse. Like, if it went into the tiger exhibit and I killed one of them, I'd be like, oh shit. Well, I can't just let this go unreported. Like, this is kind of a bigger deal. But 2 moose, like, it's cold up there. There are moose everywhere, right? That's a thing. Moose live in the cold. So whatever. They can just, if you're hunting moose and you see 2 of them in the zoo, why can't you just go get 2 more moose and bring them in, you know? Like, if it's an area that has moose to hunt and just so happens to have the moose exhibit overlaying that area, then it seems, all stands to reason that you can go out in the wilderness in this cold tundra and find 2 more moose, put them in there. Nobody's going to know. Like, nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to be like, oh my God, where's Becky and Tim? Becky and Tim were here just last week. No, just throw Chad and Steve in there. Nobody can tell. It's a moose. Nobody can tell the difference. Just do it. Yeah, no way in hell I would confess to that, because especially in those hyper anti-gun countries where it's very difficult to get guns, like in Norway, Sweden. I assume it's really hard there. That's what I've heard. I know that those countries lean pretty far to the left, so I would assume it's pretty difficult unless it's for hunting. Like, first of all, if you admitted to that, it'd be like, all right, no more guns for you, I would think. And it would also be, like, super huge on the news and being like, oh, these dumb hunters, you know, Slavengud Ganderbrecht, or whatever the hell their names sound like. What a dope. What an idiot. What a moron. Let's chastise him publicly for making an honest mistake. You know what? It would have been funny is if he went up and he demanded to have the moose for meat. Like, because at that point, what are you going to do with it? Like, I guess you could cut it up and feed it to the meat-eating animals that are around there. But that's probably against policy, too, for some stupid reason. They need to eat Monsanto-grown seed mixes, not fresh moose meat laying there in the tundra waiting to freeze. Yeah, at the very least, let the guy have some meat, or feed it to the tigers or lions, or I don't know why I'm saying tigers and lions and things like that. I can't imagine that a zoo in Norway or Sweden would have that many animals, you know? Like, unless you keep them inside all the time, which would be kind of fucked. Like, keeping a tiger, it's already bad enough keeping, like, lions and tigers and decently smart animals. Decently smart is being generous. Not totally retarded animals in cages all day, every day. Like, at least let them see the sun. Does the sun come out in those places? I don't know. I've never been. Probably won't go. Seems far away and cold and expensive. Yeah, I thought that was ridiculous. Like, who could mistake that? Who could shoot through a fence and be that goddamn dumb to think that, oh my God, look at those 2 gargantuan moose standing next to each other like they've never seen a predator in their lives. Like, of course I don't know. Like, I've hunted before, and I know that if I were going up to an animal and it was so comfortable being close to me and it noticed me and it didn't immediately run away, I would think something was up, because they don't do that. Wild animals don't do that. They've seen humans before, and they know that we're no good nicks, we're bad news. They don't want to be around us because they've heard stories from their bird friends of like, oh man, Susie was just flying around eating bugs the other day. One of those monkeys walked up. Out of nowhere, we hear an explosion, and Susie's head is 60 yards to the left of where it was. Needless to say, I got the fuck out. Yeah, like they learn pretty quick not to be around us, and then those stories are passed down from generation to generation. And generations go quickly in the bird kingdom when I'm around. Anyway, also another story I found for those Swedish fucks. Maybe the one I was talking about before was like Finland or Norway. I don't know. They all kind of mesh together for me. But some dude attacked a school with a sword in Sweden. A sword, and there's pictures online of this dude. He looks like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to like 4chan, but they make fun of like the autistic looking guys who wear like trench coats and goofy masks and have sword collections and shit like that. Which, I mean, if you like swords, more power to you. They're kind of cool. I just wouldn't want a whole collection of them because people would think I was a lunatic. But this guy was standing there with like a black mask on, trying to pretend like he was a Terminator, with a sword leaned up against his shoulder at the school, taking pictures with people at the school right before he started attacking them. And so it was like, this guy, that's like a whole new level of fucked up. That's like if a school shooter, like, just took a selfie with one of his victims right before he pulled the gun out of his backpack. Like, that's a new level of sadistic, you know? Just so, because he knew that would be on the news later. And he knew that would kind of like, because then the whole issue is like, oh no, we can't show the shooter's face, we can't give him fame, we have to just focus on the victims, we have to focus on them, 100%, which I'm not disagreeing with, but he must have seen through that and been like, well, if I'm in the picture with some victims, they can't avoid putting me up there, they have to do it, and no news station is going to be like, oh, get rid of that macabre picture, we'll just take the picture of the victim Timmy from his, third grade swim meet. No, nobody's going to do that. They're not going to pass up on that kind of news and that kind of weird picture. And so that was pretty fucked up. He only got like 2 or 3 people, though, with his sword, with his katana, it looked like. Which, not great. Not great as far as if you want to be a serial mass killer, I guess. He wasn't going around like every 3 weeks killing a new prostitute with his katana. So I guess mass murderer. Not a good record. So I guess there is some credence to the whole, guns make it way easier, which anyone who's intellectually honest knows that from the first place. Like, yeah, no shit. When you're in a country that has guns and there is a maniac who wants to shoot people or kill a bunch of people, he's going to kill more on average, The biggest ones ever are always bombs, though. Like, there's no way to outlaw bombs. You can't get rid of everything that you can use to make a bomb. You can go on the internet, Google for like 3 minutes, and find some weird website hosted in, Switzerland about how to make a homemade bomb out of toothpaste and fertilizer that'll kill, 10,000 people if you put it like a professional football game or something like that. But nobody does that often, and it seems like, if someone was really dedicated to it, they would go the bomb route instead of the guns. But it seems like the guns is more of like it's more personal, so you're going out in a blaze of glory, and at least in their mind, in their mind they're going out in a blaze of glory, not as like a guy sitting behind a desk with a button saying like, aha, now's the time, and then they click it and everybody explodes. What a downer topic. What the fuck? What was I thinking? Why would I talk about that? Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk about it because this guy, there was a witness who said that right before the guy started trying to slice people up, she walked out into the hallway and saw him, and he was standing in the middle of the hallway with Halloween music playing. So this guy was like standing there like a serial killer, dancing around in a hallway with a sword and a black mask and some kind of body armor on, with like Halloween music playing, which that's all it said in the article that I read. I'm sure there's more information, but I'm not willing to spend the time to find it. But is that like Halloween, like the movie theme music? Is it Halloween music just like a creepy ringtone? Maybe like when you're walking through a haunted house and every once in a while there's like a ha 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 ha, like a witch's cackle. That'd be creepy. That'd put everybody in a sour mood. Probably almost as much as the actual killing. So I just thought that was pretty weird. It seems like when you don't have guns, they up the creativity of their killing. Like they gotta make themselves feel like it's more important than it is with goofy music or with the selfie beforehand or something like that. Either way, pretty fucked up. Little bit of local news. You guys know I live in St. Louis, and I was just looking through a news site, and this happened to be one of the top stories from a little while ago, is that, and everybody here just wants that whole Ferguson thing to be forgotten, not because it's like, oh, push it under the rug, fuck all those people, just because there's always something bad in the news about this city. I can't remember a time ever having grew up here where it was like an article, national article, where it's like, very great man saves 3 homeless from a knife attacker in East St. Louis, or North County man dives in front of bullet to save potential criminal, or just anything at all. There's never any good news that comes out of East or the North areas of St. Louis. Never. And of course, this, like nothing else, I don't even know why I read these articles because it's depressing. Some arsonist burned down like 5 black churches, of course, and the article was like, suspected that the potential arsonist may have something against race or Christianity. It's like, really? Is that what you're going to go with? Like, it's clearly, I guess it's possible. He could just really hate Christians and be like, fucking Jesus, man. That guy really gets my goat. But more than likely, he just doesn't like black people. And so, I don't know, it was kind of weird that they were trying to split the difference there, where it's like, well, we don't know that he hates blacks, but it seems pretty reasonable. Like, granted, North County, it is possible that he just hated Christians so much and he just burned down 5 churches that were close to each other, and they all happen to be black churches because that's a very dense part of the population up there. But at the same time, seems needless to do it there when he could go to a safer part of the city, with bigger churches, that are bigger, nicer churches in wealthier, more affluent areas, and burn those down. So it seems like it's probably more racially motivated. It could also be that the cops are less likely to be looking for an arsonist in. No, that's not even true. They'd be more likely to look for nefarious people up in like North County or East St. Louis, where that shit happens all the time. If they went out to a nice area and started burning shit, like it would take them a while to catch on. I would think like it would just you'd probably be able to escape more easily. There aren't as many people patrolling about because it's just not as dangerous. Yeah, either way, that was depressing. There's no good news ever comes out of St. Louis unless it has to do with the Cardinals, and now the fucking Cardinals are out. But so are the Cubs, so nobody here really gives a shit. Those poor bastards, the Cubs. That would have been crazy if they'd won the World Series, and that was what was predicted in Back to the Future, because that was like 2 days ago, the Back to the Future day. Woohoo! Let's celebrate a at best average movie, and I mean, it's not great. Can we admit that? Can we talk about some of these movies that everybody's having a fucking hard on over for years, and it's just nostalgia talking, like they're not that great? Back to the Future is not great, not that good of a movie. Go back and watch it and tell me your favorite scene. Like, I understand if you like it because of the nostalgia, but don't pretend like if a modern movie like that came out today with the same plot and everything, even with updated CGI and shit like that, like it would still be shit. It still wouldn't be a good movie. Like people would poke holes in that. Roger Ebert, if he were still alive, is he alive? No, I think he's dead. He would tear that to shreds if that came out today as being a silly children's movie under the guise of whatever he would say. I don't know. I can't even think of what that guy would say because I didn't ever read his reviews. He's just the only name I know in reviewing. Another one like that is Star Wars. Go back and watch the original Star Wars and tell me that isn't the slowest paced, most not boring, because there are good parts, but it gets so slow and boring at some parts, and it doesn't make sense in a lot of parts. And like we were talking about it just the other night on PKA, just Kyle agreed with me. Like, it's supposed to be a show about these space warriors who are going around, and it is to an extent, but then they'll spend like half an hour with a senator talking to the president or something, or like debating what the hell they're supposed to do about the Federation or whatever the titles are. I don't know. I haven't watched the movie since I was like, actually no, I watched it like 5 years ago, and before that I hadn't seen it in probably a decade. So I was really into it when I was like 8 and 9 years old, and then I didn't watch it for like 10 years, and then when I saw it at that time, when I was like 18 or 19, I couldn't get into it anymore. All the parts that I remembered as a kid, like all the scenes I replayed in my head that were super cool, they were just not as cool as I remembered. They weren't like clever like I thought. The whole thing of, and before I watched it again, I was always parroting that line that people still parrot of like, oh, you can't take it too seriously. It's a children's show. It's made for kids. And it's like, okay, I guess you're right. And I believed that because I saw it when I was a kid. And then going back to watch it again, it's like, no, Darth Vader's pretty scary. Like, this wasn't for kids. They take his helmet off, and he's like a deformed, burned madman who tried to kill his own son, and then threw a guy into like a pit of electricity just like 3 minutes prior. He also cuts the hand off of his son. A lot of good decapitation and limb removal in children's movie. It's a classic staple, I like to say. You remember that scene in Toy Story when Andy was horribly maimed by Sid, made him swallow a firecracker and had an internal, organ bleeding. Just things like that. Just staples in children's movies. No, it's not a children's movie, so it's kind of a cop out to say that those little plot holes are not overseeable. But even then, like, I don't know. I enjoy the movies. I just don't like the pretending that it's a masterpiece, Anybody else understand what I'm saying at all? Am I talking to anyone at this point? Like, they're not some masterpiece. They just were revolutionary at the time, and it gives people good feelings when you watch it because it makes you think back on easier, happier times. But it's not some masterpiece that people try and play it off as, and that's what kind of is irritating. Not enough to talk about it for as long as I just spent talking about it, but enough to bring attention to it. Anyway, Jesus Christ. So, like I said, if you guys want to send in shit to ask me for the second half of these podcasts, you will go to my Patreon, has information about that, or if you just want to send it in and hope that I get the chance to answer it every so often, just direct message me on YouTube. Just send it to my YouTube channel, and I should hopefully get to it eventually. So, let's see. Starting with someone here sent in, they're one of the $20 a month patrons, whatever. And so he has a guarantee that I answer his question, so I'm going to read his first. This comes from Chris. So I don't know if this is show material or anything, but I would like to know your true feelings about Chiz. He seems to me like he is kind of a dick, but deep down he's well-meaning, but I really don't think he should be on the podcast. I remember in the PKA where Woody and Kyle said to lay off Chiz, you kind of stayed quiet. So what do you think about him, and how well do you know him? Don't feel bad editing the comment in any way if it makes the show. No, there's no reason for you to oh, you want me to call you a slut? You're a slut, Chris. So, no, you don't feel bad about the comment or anything. So, the thing with Chiz is I like the guy. Like, I don't know him nearly as... Or, no, I guess Chiz and I have known each other for a number of years. For a while, we would just chat on Skype and shit. Just when we were, like, talking about video games or whatever the hell, just keeping tabs, getting to know each other a bit. And he's a good guy. I really like Chiz. I'm quiet when they talk about it on the show because I don't feel like it's my place as much. Kyle and Woody are the main, I guess, owners. I'm doing air quotes right by the mic right now. Can you hear them when I go really fast? And so it's more their business to talk about. They have more of a say on guests that come in. They have more of a say on how it's run, on what Chiz does, what he doesn't do. And for the most part, if I were to speak up, I'd just be reiterating the same thing. Like, I like Chiz. I think he's a cool guy. I think he's a funny guy. I don't think that he enjoys the whole being on the show as much as myself, Woody, or Kyle. I just don't think that that's his cup of tea as much. I think he does a good job when he comes on 99% of the time. I just don't think that he deserves all the shit that he gets, And he's never done anything but be cool with me. Every so often when he's on, I'll give him shit, and then he'll give me shit for looking like an owl, and then I'll say that he looks like a 1880s paper boy because his hat looks like it is out of a movie like, whatever. You guys have heard it before on the PKA show. So we don't actually dislike each other. I actually saw comments about that before where it's like, whoa, Taylor and Chiz really at each other's throats today. It's like, no, we're not. We're just bickering just for the sake of having something to do, and maybe this will lead somewhere that gets funny, or it will open a door to a new topic, or it will cause it to, naturally flow in a direction that we didn't even realize we wanted to go. That's how those things go. That's how stream of consciousness style shows tend to run. So, yeah, Chiz is a good guy. I like Chiz. I don't think he deserves the shit that he gets, especially on the PKA Reddit, where it's every time he's on the show, there's a huge influx of like, why the fuck are we having Chiz on again? He's a goddamn idiot and an asshole, and I hate him, and I wish he'd die. And then there's, of course, the people, I'm not being like totally one-sided, there's people being like, dude, chill out. He really helps the show. I enjoy him on there. I don't know the percentages. I know that I've heard like Woody say like it's a vocal minority that really hate Chiz. But then by that logic, you'd be like, well, it's a vocal majority that really like him. Maybe there's a huge swath of people in the middle that really don't give a fuck, that really don't care. That's how it is for most issues anyway. Like there's like a 15% that is passionately for something and they will let you know, and then there's like 15% that is passionately against it. And then the 70% in the middle is kind of swaying one way or the other maybe, but at the end of the day it doesn't affect them. They don't care. So yeah, that's all I would say. I think that you think Chiz comes off as a dick because the only time you've heard him, it's not your fault for thinking that, the only time you've heard him is when he's on the show and he puts on a bit of a persona for the show. Like, if you can't tell, like, that's not how we all are all the time. Like, Woody isn't like that 100% of the time. Kyle isn't like that 100%. I'm not like that 100% of the time. And certainly Chiz isn't. You have to amplify certain aspects of yourself to be entertaining, keep people's interest. So, yeah, I like Chiz. I've beaten a dead horse at this point, but yeah, thanks for the patronage, Chris. And Chiz is a good guy. I wish he would stop getting so much shit though, because I do like him. All right, another one right here. Nope, that's the same one. Fuck. Okay. Another Patreon message. So this one's from John. I'm assuming this is where I ask my questions. You assumed correctly, John. Otherwise, I wouldn't be reading it. How the fuck do I make friends in university? In high school, it was pretty easy for me since you're forced into social interaction. In university, all you need to do is go to lectures and write the exams. I've tried to join clubs that I like, but they barely ever have events, and it just isn't working for me. It's been 2 months, and I've literally only made one friend from freshman week. I've resorted to hanging out with my high school friends that are still around and feel like I'm lacking behind hard. Not sure what to do. Any advice appreciated. So, this is tough, man. Like it all depends on the university you're at. If you're at a big public university, then it shouldn't be that hard. You should stick with the club route. What you're saying now is that you joined a club and they don't send any emails out or anything like that to get you involved. You can always start your own club, but that's really difficult and intimidating because it's like, well, what the fuck? I'm going to start my own club, and what if nobody wants to join the, chess and debate club that I'm starting, which I'm sure already exists? Then that would be, yeah, don't do that. That's stupid. Why did I say that? You need to find a club that is co-ed, first of all, because in college, joining an all-guys club, not as many guys are going to be in it unless it's something hyper-specific. Like if there's a Super Smash Brothers club, I know that I had a number of friends in college who joined a Super Smash Bros. Club, and they would go and get drunk and play Super Smash once a week or so over at one of their buddies' houses. And there were a lot of people there, constantly people rotating in and out, but it was a sausage fest, obviously. If you're looking for social interaction and shit, try and find a club. And granted, all of this advice is predicated on the fact that you're at a big enough school for there to be a ton of clubs. Go to one that's co-ed. The fact that girls could be there and could join is going to make more guys join, because that's the modus operandi in college, is to be around as many girls as possible and increase those odds and do that. Like, that's every college you go to, that's going to be it. You're never going to go to a party and they're going to be like, whoa, 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 too many girls here already, get out. We need some more guys. Call all your guy friends. If you can bring 2 guys in with you, then you can come in. Like, you'll never find a party like that. It's always the opposite of, too many guys in here already. If you can bring 2 chicks in, then you can come in too. Or something along those lines. Or, girls, come on in, guys, pay money for your cup, for your shitty Natty Light. So try joining clubs continually. Don't give up on that. Try and find one that you think, or maybe just the biggest club. It doesn't even have to be something that you like, really. Maybe there's a frisbee league or something like that, frisbee golf, something like that. Stuff like that is traditionally kind of big in college because I don't even know why, but it is. Maybe try and get into something that you otherwise wouldn't have. Join something like that. I would highly, highly, highly advise, if you are at a big school that has a large Greek life. I don't know what those of you in the UK call Greek life. Here in the US, it just means a school with a lot of fraternities and sororities. And I would suggest joining one of those. Absolutely. Join a fraternity, and at the very least, it'll give you access to meet a lot more guys. Through those guys, you're going to meet a lot more girls because they're going to be throwing parties. I don't know if your school is way different, but every school I've ever heard of from myself and friends is always the frat houses throw the parties, and the sorority houses are just really nice houses where the girls live, and the guys aren't really allowed inside very much. So join a frat. If you've been kind of brainwashed by the internet to be like, I don't want to go hang out with a bunch of rapists and fucking weirdos and guys, bros who just chest bump and masturbate each other because they're all secretly gay. Am I right? Am I right? High five. I'm better than them because I make fun of them on the internet. No, that's not true. The only people who say shit like that are people who have no friends in fraternities. I'm sure that's out there. I'm sure I guarantee there are a lot of douchey guys out there. But for the most part, if you pick a good fraternity, they're going to be guys that get along, because the guys who cause a ruckus and don't get along because they're too douchey and too annoying, they get kicked out, or they get just kind of excluded. Like, just go for that route. That's what I'd recommend. I'm sorry I can't be of any more help, but there's not much else to say, really. You got to join a club or join a fraternity, or find a way, maybe be a drug dealer. Everyone wants to have a drug dealer friend. You could be that. Fill that niche. Hey, be a drug dealer. All right. So I think I have more Patreon people than that, but those are the only ones who sent messages. Oh, no, this guy sent a really short one. Another John. Is there a meaning behind the name of your podcast? Uh, no, I just wanted something with alliteration, and Truly Terrible sounded good at the time. I'm sure that just like MurkaDurkah in 2 years, I'm going to look back and be like, God damn it, I've got 60 better ideas and I look like a tard. But for now, it's fine. Whatever. I'll just have to rebrand myself again. I'll just keep rebranding to the point that no one knows who I am, and then we'll see who the truly loyal subscribers are. Anyway, so now on to the questions that you didn't pay for. So Tyler asks, question, my good sir. That was polite of you. I'll begin with the formalities. I'm an 18-year-old from North Carolina. I'm a student who attends a community college. I live at home with my parents. Let's begin. Hypothetically, I have recently met a nice young... Hypothetically? Well, we'll see where this goes. Why would you hypothetically meet a nice young lady? Are you a crazy person? Are you a maniac? Are you not sure if you met her? Do you wake up in the night screaming sometimes, wondering if you met her or if it was all just a dream? I have recently met a nice young lady from an anonymous video chat site called Omegle. I've heard of that. I've heard of Omegle. That's just, oh no, you explain it in the next line. If you're unfamiliar, it's a site similar to Chat Roulette, where one can digitally connect with strangers from across the world. Digitally connect. That's an interesting way to say watch guys masturbate. When I randomly met this particular stranger I previously mentioned, we started talking for hours on the site. We talked for possibly 4 hours before I decided this girl was someone I wanted to pursue romantically. I asked for her number, and she gave it to me. I know what you're thinking. Well, nothing seems to be out of the question so far, and you would be correct. However, I failed to mention that she is a 15-year-old who lives in New York. Ooh. Hoo-hoo. Not great. Not great, buddy. That took a turn. This deterrent of... Where's this going to go? This is only halfway over. Jesus Christ. This deterrent of age and distance failed to prevent me from talking to this girl. It has been 2 weeks now since we've met, and I have only grown to like her more each day. I brushed up on the laws concerning statutory rape and concluded that participating in copulation... Never say participating in copulation. You should just say having sex or fucking, because in a weird way, fucking is less upsetting than participating in copulation. Participating in copulation is what a serial killer does to his victim right before they make a lamp out of their skin or something. Like, just say having sex, Just stick with that. That participating in copulation with someone under 17 in the state of New York is illegal. This girl does not mind the age difference. In fact, I am more concerned about this dilemma than her. No shit, she's not concerned. If you guys end up having sex, she's not the one in jail with a record for kitty diddling for the rest of her life. Like, you should be the one who's concerned. You have the most to lose right now. Like, if she seems into you and she's like, ooh, an older guy, like, this is bad news, man. This is bad news. I am more concerned about this dilemma than her because she prefers an older gentleman. My question to you is, what are your opinions on my situation? Is it detestable and criminal? Should I discontinue my interest of this girl despite my emotional and physical attraction? I'm a fan of your channel and your work on PKA as well. I give you permission to answer via podcast or just a simple reply. I am very interested in your opinion. Thank you. Yeah, there were like 6 questions at the end there, so let me mull through this. Is it detestable and criminal? Well, you looked at the law, so you know that it's criminal. So in the strictest sense of the word, yeah, that's a criminal act. You can't be participating in copulation with a 15-year-old when you're 18. It's pretty rough, man. Especially like you're in North Carolina. She's in New York. Like, this isn't gonna take off, dude. This chick can't even drive. Like, nothing's gonna happen here. It's detestable? No, I don't think so. Like, if you were just like walking around, like stalking, Facebook pages of 15-year-olds trying to see who you liked and then start something up online like that, then yeah, that'd be really creepy and fucked up. But from how you described it, it seems like you just met someone, you thought they were older than they were, talked to them for a long time, and then you're like, oh fuck, well now I kind of have feelings for them, and now I figured out that they're way younger than me. So I don't think it's detestable, dude. I don't think you should feel that bad about it. Like, you can't help that. You didn't know. You didn't go out seeking it. But at the end of the day, she's fucking 15, dude, and you're 18, and that's frowned upon in the eyes of the law. And yeah, if something did go wrong, aside from your parents, literally nobody would take your side. Nobody. Can you imagine a news story like that? How they would spin it if you guys did get together, get drunk or something, and then have sex? how everyone would spin that, not even spin it, how they would say it. 18-year-old lures 15-year-old from states away, gets her drunk and has sex with her. More to you, Tom. Thanks, Tom. Open that. They're both named Tom. Of course, fuck that up, damn it. So, yeah, nobody's going to take your side if something did go awry with this. And even if it goes perfectly cool and okay, you're still going to be that guy among your friends that is dating someone that's way, way younger than them. And, if you're 25 and you're dating a 22-year-old, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. But the 18 to 15 thing, it's just in everyone's mind, that's just skeevy, Like, I'm not trying to say it's your fault, like, you didn't pick this, but, yeah, this is not something you want to pursue. If you want to talk to her, just, actually, no. No. I was going to say if you're going to keep talking to her, just talk to her as a friend, but that never works. That's not going to work. 0% chance. So just tell her, I'm not looking for something this long distance. I think you're a great person. Wish you the best. That's it. Cut it off right there. Anything more than that is risky business. It's already bad enough that she has your phone number and she can, send you some nudes if she felt like it, and then suddenly you've got child porn. Yeah, dude, this is bad news. You don't want to be doing this. It's not detestable. You didn't know. It is criminal. You should discontinue your interest in her. Which ones have I not answered? Nope, we got them all. So, you're not a bad person, dude. Don't feel guilty. It's not your fault. You didn't know. You weren't out stalking this person. Just, yeah, you need to cut this the fuck out before something bad happens. Absolutely. From Paul. Hey, Taylor, I'm glad to see you are starting up a new podcast. The first episode was great. Some background information before my question. I decided I wanted to double major in finance and economics. I am currently a sophomore in college and want to transfer to a school about an hour away that is one of the best business schools in the state. I was wondering if you or a friend had experience with transferring from one university to the other. Thank you. So I never transferred universities. I have a ton of friends who did it, either from community college to a state school, or from a state school to a different state school or a different private school once they were there for a while. Honestly, dude, this all comes down to how much benefit you think you're going to get from this business school. Look at their placement rates after college, see if it really is making that much of a difference. I can only assume that if it is one of the best business schools out there, it's going to be a pretty penny more expensive than the other schools. So I don't know, just be wary of that. Don't jump into it. Just because at the end of the day, if you go into a job interview and you say, I went to the best business school in the state, but you come off as kind of adult and you aren't personable, you don't have good social skills, they don't believe your ability to get things done, they're not going to give two shits if you went to Harvard and got a 4.0. Like, a lot of getting a job is going to be personability, not 100% the school you went to. So if you think you can get just as good of grades in this school as the other school and have the added benefit of a cheaper cost, then I'd say maybe rethink transferring. But like I said, there's so many details up in the air, I can't possibly know. All right. Hey, Taylor, with your new job, are you able to go on the next paintball trip or PKA adventure? Would love to see you there. Keep up the good work and keep making great content. Zach. Oh, thank you, Zach. Yeah, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I can go on the next PKA trip. I don't know when it's going to be. I haven't heard from Kyle or Woody any details. Not that they're keeping me out of the loop or anything. I just don't think that they have anything nailed down as of yet. So next time they bring it up, I'll be sure to tell them, like, hey, give me this date ASAP so I can make sure that I can get in on it if at all possible. Because I would want to go. I haven't seen those guys in person in, like, years, and it's always fun hanging out with them. I get along great. It's a lot of fun. And it's even more fun, in a way, to meet the people there, because it puts a face to the people that give a fuck about what I'm doing. And even though every time we go, it's like 600 people who want to see Kyle and 300 people that want to see Woody, and then there's like 6 guys who are like, hey, seen you before. Like, it's still fun, you know? Makes you pretend to be important, and I like that. Hey, Taylor, you're my favorite host of PKA, and I think you add a lot to the show. I have a few truly terrible questions for you. What PKA adventure would you want to participate in? What experience do you have with the devil's lettuce or cannabis? Devil's lettuce, I love that saying, it's funny. What kind of music do you listen to, and do you work out? What PKA adventure would you want or be able to participate in? Um, I don't know. The ones they've talked about that I know are never going to happen where Woody's like, oh, we should take a big cross-country motorcycle trip. That would be horrible. Even if I had my whole weekend open or whatever, however long it took, I would not go on that. I have no desire to ride a motorcycle ever. It seems dangerous and reckless and stupid. It's just there's some activities that you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be skydiving. You shouldn't be hang gliding. You shouldn't be doing ridiculous mountain climbing up like K2 or Everest. And you shouldn't be riding a motorcycle. It's reckless. It's just there's no reason for it. Like you're risking death. Every time I hear someone die doing something stupid like drag racing a car or drag racing a motorcycle or doing street racing or climbing a mountain or hang gliding or parachuting off of a flat-topped mountain in the middle of Arizona, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad at all. That should be a warning to all the other dumb adrenaline junkies who are trying to do something stupid like that. Just don't. Just stay out of that. You have no business there. No. There are some hobbies that are not meant to be done. You would never take up crocodile kissing or like piranha dodging, so don't climb mountains or jump off of them. What experience do you have with the devil's lettuce or cannabis? I've tried it. I don't do it anymore, so I don't have nearly as much experience as a lot of my friends. Not really my thing. Do you work out? I have not worked out regularly in like 3 years now, so I'm kind of a piece of shit. I was really good before that for like 8 months or so in a row, and then as of like 2.5, 3 years ago, I just dropped off, and any attempts to get back into it have been sparse and few and far between, so need to do that some more. What kind of music do you listen to? Honestly, I don't even listen to much music at all. Like, at all, ever. I only pretty much listen to comedy podcasts and stand-up and things like that. When I do listen to music, I don't know, like electronic or like Muse, but even then, it's like, it's weird. Everyone I know can just list off a few of their favorite bands. I just don't listen to music. I don't know why. I hardly ever do. Am I an asshole for telling my ex I didn't want anything to do with her? Our relationship lasted for about 4 months and ended because we couldn't see each other. After we broke up, I realized she was hiding that she had a 3-year-old kid, and I'm pretty sure that she was cheating on me near the end of our relationship. The other day, she texted me asking why I blocked her on social media and deleted her number, and I told her I didn't want anything to do with her. Jesus. Yeah, that 4 months and she hid a kid. That's some dedication. Where did she think it was going to go? Like, how is that kid just going to pop up one day? Like, she'd just strategically leave it outside in a basket in the middle of a rainstorm and then stage a knock and then walk out and be like, oh my god, this child, can we keep it? Like, how the fuck would that have worked out? Yeah, no, that person is a sociopath and you're fine. You are A-okay. Another truly terrible question from Davin. Hey Taylor, I've been a big fan of your channel for a long time, since not long after you started, maybe 2010, I don't know. You were always my favorite YouTuber, and it's so awesome to have you back. I have 2 questions. What are the last 11 steps in the program of pedophilia? Because so far all we've covered is that you have to be a brony. At least tell us what step 2 is. Do you have any more awkward scenarios that you've tried out? I have tried and love looking at a person's ear one. Oh man, these are... I can't even remember. I don't remember when I said the pedophilia step thing. It was when I was making fun of bronies. Bronies are those people who really like My Little Pony. Not people, because it's a show for little girls, but it's like those fat neckbeard people who love My Little Pony. And that's mean, I guess. You know, if you like a little girl's TV show, that's fine. It's okay. I'm sure there are lots of normal guys who like that, maybe. I don't know. But it comes off as odd because the only ones that you see online, you never see like Chad, the normal guy who plays sports, being like, yeah, after the game, I like to settle down with a little bit of My Little Pony, you know, just take the edge off. Like, you never see that guy. The only guy you see is, you know, creepy Justin with his fedora on and a trench coat walking around in public with slippers resembling children's ponies on his feet and like a big ring on his hand of one of those ponies' heads. Like, it's just weird. So maybe I don't know. I don't want to get into that at all. So I don't even know the other 11 steps of pedophilia. I don't even remember what video I talked about that in. The awkward scenarios one I'll come back to someday because I I know exactly what you're talking about. The one where video from years and years and years ago where I was talking about how to make people feel uncomfortable, like by just you can stare at their ear during conversations, or you can just stare at their ear and making sure that they can see you in your peripheral, and then instead of turning away real quick when they look to you, like the standard, you get caught staring at a girl's tits or staring somewhere, you have to like quickly look around and be like, oh, or look inquisitive, like what was that, the name of that actor again, or something like that. Instead of that, when they turn to you and you're looking at the ear, you just follow their ear around to the side of their head and kind of give like an inquisitive look of like, now what is that? And it's a guarantee that they'll turn back around and like mess with their ear or something. So, not really uncomfortable, just kind of bullying and mean. Da, da, da. Oh, that's a terrible question. Why would you ask that? So, for Truly Terrible Podcast from Zachary. Hi, Taylor. I'm currently a sophomore in college, and freshman year I met a girl in an orientation class, and we hit it off pretty nice. We talked and texted for a while, but nothing else really came of it. Over the summer, we didn't talk hardly at all. And now this year, since we have a few classes together, I tried talking to her, and she just kind of shrugged me off. I got a new phone, and my contacts didn't transfer, so I messaged her on Facebook asking for her number, and she never answered. I'm probably just not going to try and talk to her anymore since she isn't talking to me either, but I wanted another opinion. Happy to see you're back. Looking forward to more podcast episodes. Yeah, dude, that ship has sailed. That's done. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the worst thing you could possibly do right now is message her again on Facebook, trying to get her to give you her number again. Like, she clearly has no interest in you. Sorry, that's the way it is sometimes, man. It's a numbers game. You got to cast a wide net and hope for the best. Yeah, it is also possible you met her at orientation. Everybody is way friendlier at orientation because they haven't figured out the social pecking order yet. Like, they don't know who's going to be the guy who constantly has weed or vodka in his dorm and is willing to hook you up, or who's going to be the chick that has that older boyfriend who's 25 and they'll get you Coke or whatever, crazy things you kids are up to nowadays. So just don't take it personally. More than likely, she was just trying to be friendly to everyone at the time, and then she finally did find a little niche of friends and kind of left everyone else by the wayside. So, yeah, that's done. You didn't even get friend zoned, which is good. You just got put in the no-fly zone. All right. From this guy. Hey, Taylor. You asked for questions and letters for your podcast, so here you go. I need some advice. My mother ended up getting kicked out of her apartment a while ago for reasons I won't get into. It wasn't any of her fault, but that isn't the problem. The problem is that she has a really energetic, annoying, medium-sized dog that's 46 pounds of pure muscle. I came home one day to my sister on the porch with a kennel and a bag of food. I agreed to take the dog in for a while. I was thinking a few days or a week at most, so I was fine with it. Well, long story short, I've now had this dog for nearly 3 fucking months. I've told her several times she needs to get a place and take this dog back, but she keeps giving me the same bullshit excuse of I'm trying as hard as I can, which I know isn't true. What should I do? I know this seems petty or like it's not a big deal, but I am sick of this dog. Thanks and go fuck yourself, Matt from Colorado. So, yeah, you're not being a dick at all, dude. Taking care of someone's pet is a big responsibility, especially if you're like living by yourself. Like, giving someone your pet if you live by yourself is really selfish. That's a douchey thing to do, where it's like, oh, hey, so now a quarter of your life is devoted to this, and by extension to me. So fuck you, take care of my shit, because I'm not willing to. Why the hell can't she keep the dog? Where is she living now? Like, you should put a time limit on this, and I know it's your mom, but if she's not even trying to find a place to live and is just letting you take care of this little hellhound until she decides one day to get somewhere to live, presumably, if it wasn't her fault that she got kicked out, she could find a new place to live, So, yeah, you're not being douchey at all, dude. Give her a tentative time limit. Maybe don't just come out and be like, Mom, I've thought about it, and fuck you, I'm getting rid of this dog next week. Like, maybe give her one more month and say, like, Mom, I can't handle this. It's taking over my life. It's pissing on my carpet. It's eating my PlayStation. It's, humping all of my favorite household items. I can't handle this. You got to get rid of it. Just give her that, and hopefully she won't freak out. She probably will, so be forewarned there. But otherwise, you're just consigning yourself to a life of taking care of this little shit hound and having to, be guilted by it at the same time. So, yeah, that I understand it's not as big of a deal as like a huge problem in life, but it is life altering. So that is pretty fucked up for your mom to do that for 3 months. Like at that point, it is your dog. Like, but it's not your dog in the strictest sense, because I'm sure the dog can still sense that it's not wanted, so it's not obeying, it's not being well behaved, it's just being a little fuck. What other ones do I have here? It's like a slew of them right now that I'm scrolling through in the messages, where it's all just that same stuff of poopy pants and would you rather, masturbate a gorilla or give a, BJ to a horse, which just doesn't even make sense. So I'm not answering those. Those are stupid. All right. Truly terrible advice. Dating a Mormon. Hey, Taylor, I'm a senior in high school, and while I know you said there's no reason to get a girlfriend at this point, I've found someone that I really like and that I get along with great. The only problem is that she and her entire family are Mormons. While I'm not very religious at all, her mother seems to like me and is somewhat encouraging toward us getting closer with each other. But I was wondering if you think that this will get in the way of the future, and if it would be more trouble than I predict. There's a good chance I'll be moving away for university, so I doubt very much that this would last more than around a year. But I'd love to hear your advice. Thanks for what you do, and keep the podcast coming. So you're dating a Mormon, huh? Well, is the girl Mormon, or is it just her family? Because I don't know nearly as many Mormons. Melissa, come answer this. So Melissa knows a lot of Mormons, and did you hear the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy is, we have to be kind of close because they complained about it being too quiet last time. You weren't too quiet last time, though. You were pretty loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, senior in high school, I said there's no reason to get a girlfriend at that point. Found someone he likes. They're Mormon.
Yeah. Yep.
What can he anticipate? Because you know a lot of Mormons.
Well, I come from a Mormon family, for one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different kind of Mormons. It really depends on what kind of Mormon she is and what kind of Mormon her family is. Because...
yeah, if they're a special underwear Mormon, you should just cut your losses.
Yeah.
Because some of them wear special underwear. I met a guy who wore, like, this weird kind of draping cloth under all of his, like, dress clothes, and he looked like a maniac, but apparently they think God likes it, so anything for God.
And I'm in my mid-20s, and my grandpa's so Mormon, he has a hard time with me living with someone and not being married, so it really depends on how they are. They might be encouraging you to be together because they want to get you baptized,
Yeah.
which happens a lot.
That's what I was thinking, is they're trying to get him to be part of their little clan, and so then they can push him into marriage. Because all these Mormon chicks, like, if they're like real Mormons and into it, they're married by the time they're like 18 years old or 19 years old. Like, as soon as their man comes back from that 2-year proselytizing mission where he goes to some foreign country and tells them something they don't need to hear while giving them little books of nonsense, they try and get married, right? That's pretty much it.
Get married and start having children. And it's upsetting. And I know people that weren't really Mormon when they were teenagers, but when they start experiencing life and they realize how difficult it is, they trend back towards their religion. So that could happen in the future too.
Seems like the opposite. Why would you do that?
Some people do that. Some people are like, oh, I can't. My parents were right all along. This is hard.
Oh, so you mean they just, like, they get out there and they panic because being Mormon, they weren't prepared for, like, all the shit that you're going to experience in life.
Yeah.
So they get out there and then suddenly it's like, oh my God, they were right. The devil's everywhere. And then they come running back to be a part of the healthy, feel-good clan.
Yep.
Mormon families remind me of, like, the Flanders on The Simpsons, you know? Where it's like like, everybody walks in and it feels so false and happy and it doesn't feel like it's real. But for some people it is, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think you should do it, man.
Everybody's different. It really depends on the vibe.
Do you think he should go through with this? Be in a relationship? I don't think so. It's his senior year of high school, dude. I've said this like 10 times already, and I've made the podcast. This is week 3. Don't fuck around. Or yes, do fuck around, but don't get in a relationship at the end of your high school career. It's gonna be awful, dude. You're gonna wish you didn't. Yes, Melissa nodded. She agrees. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't get in a relationship at the end of high school. Best case scenario is you break up before high school ends. Honestly, that's your best case scenario there. And even then, it's just more emotional turmoil that you don't need. Like, don't do that. Um. All right. Do a couple more. Whatever. What is your parents' political affiliation? Do you think it has influenced your own perspective? Um. Both my parents are more conservative than liberal in a lot of ways, but they're also not at all conservative when it comes to social issues like being gay or getting abortions or, uh, shit like that. Like, oh, when it comes to letting people do what they want to do, they're both fine with it. Like, they're not the people standing on the corner with a rainbow flag, like, woo, be gay. But they're the people who are like, yeah, be gay. I don't give a shit. Just like, let's not make it front page news every single day. So I don't know how much it's influenced me, probably a bit. But of course, like everyone, for a couple of years, I went through my backlash phase for everything that they believed in, and then I kind of settled back to my own medium. Um, let's see. This one has an interesting first sentence. So, I'm 14 and I have a foot fetish. It's something that I have felt really self-conscious about since it sprang up on me about a year ago. I haven't told anyone and don't plan to, at least for a while. But it's also something that I feel really bad about because, being fully truthful, I masturbate to my friends' feet and sometimes go so far as to film them. Whoa! That was okay until the last little bit. I need to know more details about this filming before I can make a judgment. But you're 14, dude. Like, everybody's horny to the point of being ridiculous when they're 14. It's not like feet are the only thing I'm into, but I do get sexually aroused by them, and I don't know how to deal with it. If there was a way to just make it disappear, I would do that. But from what I've read on the topic, there isn't a way to just make it go away. So is there any way to fully get rid of a fetish? And if there isn't, is it healthy to just keep masturbating to my friends' feet? Because even to me, that sounds fucked up. Oh, this is great. And I feel pretty disgusted with myself after. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at the situation, not at you, man. Not at all. I could really use a second opinion on this because, like I said, it's something I've never told anyone about, and it's not really something that I can bring up in casual conversation, especially at my age. That's true, dude. Just a reply would be nice, and it would be awesome to make it on the Truly Terrible podcast, but since I've not told anyone, my anonymity is paramount. Of course, I read that first, so I didn't say anything about who you are. Not that I know anyway, from my YouTube handle. So, dude, this is totally normal. Like, you're 14. I guess I was lucky when I was 14, that I didn't have any, like, crazy fetishes that I know of. Like, not that yours is crazy or anything. Like, my sexuality was so normal that it was, like, even talking about it with my friends, even saying normal, I don't want to make you feel bad because it's not that what you have isn't normal. It's just it's not as common. So that's a good way to say it. So my attractions were so common and I guess vanilla and just kind of what you would expect from a 14-year-old that's portrayed in like a sitcom or something like that, a really dark sitcom, but a sitcom nonetheless, that I never had to deal with that. Like, I didn't have anything where I'm like, oh man, I like watching girls in snorkels almost drown on the internet. Like, and at the time I didn't have nearly as much internet influence on my life as I'm sure you do, being 14 in 2015. So you have a lot more access to a lot more shit than I did. Like, I guess I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have any of that. We had one big, like, boob tube style family computer, and so it was like you had to sneak your way in there every once in a while and hope for the best, and you always have to have eyes in the back of your head waiting for like slow dial-up internet to load single images at the time, letting it click down where it's like an eighth of the image comes out at the time, and then like halfway through the image you could finally tell like, oh, this isn't even good, and then go back and try and find something else. Like, that's how it was. And so it could be I just didn't have enough access to find something like that I liked when I just had to hop in, Google boobs or something, and then just be, quick as possible. So, yeah, it must be way harder on younger people now. So, yeah, dude, the whole thing is normal. The whole, like, being attracted to feet. I'm sure it's pretty common. I'm sure it's way more common than you think. I'm sure you're not even the only person in your grade. There was one kid on my hockey team when I was, God, I guess I was 16, and he was 17 or 18, and he was really into feet. He had a big foot fetish, and so of course, being younger, we just kind of be like, oh, you like feet, and like show him pictures of like gross feet, and be like, you like that? You like that, Steve? His name's not Steve. I don't want to give his name out there because that'd be kind of douchey. But yeah, it's way more common than you would think, I'm sure. The whole filming your friend's feet, though, I'm interested. Message back. How the hell are you doing this on the down low? Like, are you just like dropping your phone inconspicuously at restaurants and then pretending to pick it up, but really turning the camera on and turning it towards some open-toed shoes, and then just sitting up, finishing your meal, bending down to get your phone, and having like half an hour of toe movement? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand how you're doing this. That is something that you want to stop, though, because someone will catch you, and that will ruin your whole high school social life. Being that guy who filmed chicks' feet, like, there is no bouncing back from that, my friend. Like, you can't film a bunch of girls' feet, masturbate to it, and then throw a party the next weekend and expect a bunch of people to show up. Like, you can expect a couple of years of ridicule. So for your own sake, like I said, dude, you have so much internet access right now. Just use that and get it not out of your system, but well, I guess, get, you know what I mean, out of your system, and then just don't do it to your friend's feet. If you want to fantasize about it, go for that. Just don't be filming people's feet. That is not a road that you want to go down, because it's definitely going to escalate, just like everything. Yeah, so don't feel bad, dude. Not your fault for having this fetish. There's way weirder stuff out there. Kyle has shown me a couple of like German websites that are really upsetting with like urine and feces, and I don't know why he sends me those things, but yeah, it's really, really not a big deal. Shouldn't feel bad, and yeah, just cut out the video thing, because that's gonna get you into some shit. All right, how long have I been doing this? Oh wow, so hour and 11 minutes, a little longer than the last one. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, check out the Patreon. If not, let me know how you think I could improve. I tried to make it louder this time, so hopefully the volume is up to snuff. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I love you.